Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to a new episode of Flesh Wound Farce, where we review and discuss your and our favorite comedy films. This is the world's first and only combination trivia host and professional wrestling announcer of Chilean descent that currently resides in Southern California, Ozzy V. And with me, as always, on this program, first in the Northern California Bay Area, world-famous juggler, Greg Larson. How you doing this week, Greg?
Ozzy, man, I am doing very well now that we are here doing this great podcast. Got a beer. Life's good, man. How about yourself?
Doing well. Is that a Doctor Who jersey you're wearing?
You know it. Had to get the police jersey for this great movie we're doing.
There you go. For those watching on the YouTube version, you can see Greg's hockey jersey. For those on the audio, be sure to check out the YouTube version and check out Greg's sweet Doctor Who uniform. I just have an Umbrella Corporation because I just finished the game Days Gone, and I'm still kind of amped about it. So that's where my mind was. I don't have any. I should have a Big Boss Man shirt. I should. I really should.
That Twin Tower shirt is one of my favorite shirts. But never forget.
And that third voice you're hearing, Flesh Wound producer Todd.
What's up, y'all?
Chilling.
Chilling.
That was a question mark. Chilling.
Chilling like a baked potato.
Like a baked potato, which is very nutritious at lunchtime, much like this film is nutritious to your brain if you need comedic entertainment. Yes, it is. Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad starring Leslie Nielsen.
Speaking of nutritious.
Oh, my gosh. I should have never taken that photo with the ribs. Again, those on the audio version, if you'd like to understand what that picture is, you can watch the YouTube version. This PG-13 film is an hour and 25 minutes, directed by David Zucker, written by Jerry and David Zucker, Jim Abrams, and Pat Proft, starring Leslie Nielsen and Priscilla Presley, among others. Todd, if you'd please be so kind and...
In this city, there's crime on every street. But one man has seen enough. He's Lieutenant Frank Drebin.
Whatever scum did this, not one man on this force will rest for 1 minute until he's behind bars. Now let's grab a bite to eat.
He's a good cop who's having a bad day. His best friend...
Oh, everyone should have a friend like you.
...is in a coma.
As soon as Nordberg is better, he's welcome back at Police Squad. But I wouldn't wait until the last minute to fill out those organ donor cards.
His girlfriend asked him to look her up.
Nice beaver.
Thank you. I just had it stuffed.
Let me help you with that.
And his city is in the hands of a master criminal with a sinister plan.
I must kill the queen.
How can any police story contain this much action? This much romance?
I like cops.
Or this much baseball? Starring Leslie Nielsen, a cop who's always on the alert. Mikhail Gorbachev.
I knew it.
Queen Elizabeth, everyone's favorite queen. Priscilla Presley, a woman who really cooks.
How hot and wet do you like it?
Ricardo Montalban.
Frank.
You're both right.
George Kennedy, the partner with an appetite for danger. O.J. Simpson, as you've never seen him before. And Reggie Jackson in his first dramatic role. In a movie so big, it had to be filmed in color. The Naked Gun from the Files of Police Squad.
See you then.
Such a fantastic film, released on December 2nd, 1988. Oh my gosh. Now, first off, I just want to give a mega shout out. I got this 3-pack. It was a gift set of all 3 Naked Gun films. All 3 have commentary. Blu-rays, these are the DVDs. Blu-rays have got to have the same thing. Get into the commentary momentarily, but initial thoughts on this film. Cliched, I say it every other week. I saw this movie way sooner than I should have. So, and I'll get into something interesting about it, but I think with its visual zaniness, my parents thought it was just like, oh, it's just live. They didn't understand a lot of the jokes. And I got away with one there. So it's near and dear to my childhood is the original Naked Gun. Greg?
Yeah, this movie, I haven't seen the original in quite some time, so I was really excited to come back to this movie. A lot of the jokes still hold up really well. Some jokes were unintended, and some things I don't know how it got in the movie. So yeah, I love this movie, and I'm excited to go more into it.
And Todd.
Yeah, there was one joke I didn't really catch till this viewing that had me dying. I was familiar with the Police Squad series from before. They had like 4 of the episodes on VHS. So I was excited when this movie, when the commercials are starting to, pop up. They even like kind of redo some of the jokes because no one watched the series at all.
Well, interesting thing. So it's mentioned on the commentary that ABC had purchased 6 episodes to air on Thursday nights opposite Fame on NBC and Magna PI on CBS. And this kind of humor, this in a TV show, was ahead of its time because you needed to watch the show. You couldn't just have it on in the background and do other stuff like Fame, whatever, there's a musical number coming up, or Magna PI, okay, there's an action segment coming up. This one, you needed to stay watching it for all the visual humor. And this in particular, so Airplane got a lot of international success. Now, this was from the perspective of David Zucker, as he was saying, a lot of positive feedback, international positive feedback from Airplane were the visual jokes.
So would you say Airplane really took off with visual jokes?
Yeah. It's funny though, because I know one of the things that like hindered this, and I think Sledgehammer was another one, was American audience or back then at least, needed to know when to laugh. Without a laugh track, things did not hit. It wasn't until more recently, like with The Office and stuff like that.
Right. The audience, or rather, ABC did request a laugh track and they're like, how do you put a laugh track on a visual joke? Like, it was so, yeah. But that's what made it fit in this movie. An hour and 20 minutes. Anybody would want to get this now. The closest thing to Police Squad on TV, I don't know if it's actually still on the air, but any episodes of Angie Tribeca, the same exact humor that you would find in it's basically Police Squad in 2021 is what that, like, from the very beginning, you'll totally get on board with it. But back to this movie, when it comes to my favorite points, I mean, the whole thing is zany, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the smaller, subtle things are the ones that made me laugh the hardest, except for Nordberg's wife. Every time Frank's saying, like, especially like he'll be welcome as long as he's not a vegetable, but that's common sense. You heard some of that in the trailer, the screaming, the timing was so perfect on that. And that was something I remembered as a child, that even me at 6 years old saw the humor in that,
well, but a question in that scene though, the part that we saw in the trailer was, him saying, yeah, but you might not want to wait to fill out the donor card.
Yeah.
Was he talking about OJ or the wife?
Yowza. We will be touching on that momentarily when we get into the commentary.
It's all right. In the third one, he wears the same outfit. He was the knitted cap and the gloves and everything.
So one joke that was actually changed at the request of Ricardo Montalban, because he's a devout Catholic, and the name of the hospital actually had a Catholic joke within it. They said what the actual name of the hospital was originally in the commentary, except I tried going back multiple times. I could not understand what the name was, but the name was changed to the hospital Our Lady of Worthless Miracle. I don't know if you guys caught that. But
I did not.
Yeah.
Another one, and this is the first time I caught this, was watching the commentary. Not the first time around, because I watched the first time around, then I watched with the commentary, but it wasn't until the commentary that I noticed is he's getting off the plane and he's going to his car. His handbag is on like a leash. It has wheels. He's pulling his handbag as though it's a lot of luggage. And then once he gets to the car, he just picks it up and throws it in the back. Why needing to have wheels? Like, that is such a small, again, like I'd seen this movie I don't know how many times. First time I really caught that. So Greg, how about you?
Are we at like favorite joke here or favorite scene?
Yes.
Oh man, this was a tough one for me to really.
For me, it
pick
was
one out.
Norberg. For me, it was Norberg's wife's reactions to Drebin's, saying,
Yeah,
all of the things he said.
Gotcha. Which, by the way, her also saying he was a nice man. He wouldn't hurt anybody. Anyway, for me, the moment that I didn't expect to laugh as hard as I did for this because it was such a dumb joke, and I think that's why I loved it so much. That's half the movie, though, is when he's looking in the microscope and he says, "Use your open eye, Frank." Like, it's such a ridiculous moment. Like, of course you would, but like, gosh, they play it so well. The delivery is like 99% of every one of these jokes.
Well, they're all played straight. That's the thing. The lines, the situations, everything's, does itself. They got, in fact, one of the things before I get to you, Todd, sorry, real quick. They had mentioned when Priscilla Presley came in to read, she had a comedic spin to it on all her lines. They said, do it one more time, but don't add any, just play it straight. And then they said she got everything from then on. And then every time they filmed, she didn't need to do like many takes. Like, she understood exactly what the tone was supposed to be. And sorry, go ahead, Todd. Before I get into more commentary stuff.
Okay, yeah. Well, I'll do the part that made me laugh first quite a bit. It's just a little gimmick when he's cleaning it off his desk, and Frank goes, "Hey, the missing evidence in the Kelvin case here." My God, he really was innocent. And then Ed's like,
so
he went to the chair 2 years ago.
That's the joke that to me, I was like, that made it in this movie. Like, because it was just that moment of like, yeah, he died 2 years ago, and they're like, whatever. And I'm just like, that's not cool.
Probably too realistic too.
I think that's
there's more
why.
where I'm going at it. It hits like, but at that point, it's like instead of it being now in a movie, it would be a joke in South Park.
Right.
Now,
So,
yeah.
Now that everyone's kind of had their thing, I did also want to give a super honorable mention, and this plays to what you were saying, Ozzy, about like delivering things just straight, like not trying to make a moment of it. But the driving instructor scene, like every bit of that, the calmness and the like matter-of-fact delivery, my God, every bit of that. All right, now gently extend your arm. Like, so good. That is a wonderful scene as well.
The one that caught me off guard this time was what I never noticed before. Was the bit, how do I put this? Ooh, this is a hard one. When they're changing and the guy walks in on them, I never got that. And
right.
And the nice beaver bit always gets me.
Oh, yeah.
So
Weird Al.
something they had mentioned in the commentary about that beaver joke is they said that in most of the test screenings that when he said nice beaver, he said the oxygen was sucked out of the room. You could hear a pin drop. And when you first saw that stuffed beaver, everybody lost it. Like, just completely lost their minds. They missed out on the next joke a lot of times because they were still laughing. Like, it was according to the commentary, it was the beaver joke that got the most laughs, and the urination joke in the press conference. And turns out there's a longer cut of that urination scene.
Awesome.
Yep. And he went, and what was great about this commentary, by the way, the commentary features David Zucker, director, producer Robert Weiss, and the host of the commentary was Peter Tilden, who you actually rarely hear from. It's usually just David Zucker and Robert Weiss going back and forth. And they talk about this particular scene, and especially all the pauses, because without hearing laughter, you're like, okay, they're focusing in on this joke a little bit much. But he says, understand that we had to, because people were still laughing this hard, this long, when they saw it in all these screenings. So it was just fascinating to hear that point. And see, some other points was in the credits, instead of saying guy number 2 or girl number 4, they would actually have the one line that the person said, like, hey, it's Enrico Palazzo, was this actor. Stuff that they had in the credits. And speaking of credits, they actually had initially planned a sort of mid-credit scene where after the Nordberg in the trailer, where you see Nordberg flip onto the field, they were supposed to do a take me out to the ball game montage featuring all the actors from the film, but it was completely flat in the theaters when they tested it. So they decided to cut that out because everybody joked about Nordberg hitting the railing and then flying up. And then they even said afterward, and then turned out to be even funnier years later. Right? And they don't hold anything back, which is obviously it's clean, but it's not, they don't try to dance around it. They don't beat around the bush. Like, the movie opens up after the scene in Beirut, where you see Nordberg character played by O.J. Simpson in all black, and he's, sneaking around. And one of them says, wait, is this part of the movie or extra OJ footage?
I'm surprised they didn't say, oh, I thought he would be better with a knife than a gun.
See, that I think that was the stuff that they're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
I'm sure they thought it, but
but you also mentioned the opening, and we're all passing by the iconic openings of these movies. That car driving opening that they do, and all the great scenes that you get from the very beginning of the movie, I think really sets the tone for how this film is going to go.
The car driving?
Yeah, when you got the siren.
Oh,
the intro of the entire movie.
The intro credits. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, 100%.
They also did those on the series too, so it was different every week.
Oh, nice.
The 6 weeks.
Another callback to the series was every time Drebin would pull into the police station, he would always knock over a trash can, right? And you'll notice in the movie, wherever he pulls up to, he always hits something.
Right.
Like a fisherman, trash cans, a scaffolding. That was probably the one that got me the most, was the scaffolding full of people, and they're all falling as he's just walking away. But every single time, no matter where he goes. But they had mentioned that on the actual episode, that the number of trash cans there were supposed to match the number episode it was. So the first episode, he would knock over 1 trash can. Second episode, he would knock over 2, right? 3, 4. So, it only got to 4. But also, Alan North, it was in the original.
He was the partner.
He was the original partner for the studio. Wanted somebody who had won an Oscar, and that's why they got George Kennedy to play that role. Also, the scientist you find in the movie, the police scientist, also from the TV show, turns out a real life high school teacher.
That I could totally see that.
And that's absolutely fantastic. I'd almost want to move if I had a kid that was in the grade. I'd want to move to that city just so he could go to that high school. Why do you have the ghost behind me again? Could you just take that off? Todd, with your magic tricks?
That's not me.
Shut up. Yes, it is. Anyway, back to this. I'd want to move to this city, wherever this guy's teaching, or wherever he was teaching high school, Of course, you got to show the rib picture. Why do you keep doing that? Knock it off. You're going to give yourself another spasm, all right? So most of the commentary is really just them watching and reacting and laughing and, you know, small little tidbits, but more comedic and entertaining rather than informational. Definitely worth it if you have the opportunity to check out this commentary. Greg, you'd mentioned you had seen it on Paramount Plus.
That is correct.
Okay.
The entire series on Paramount Plus.
The entire series is on Paramount Plus. Todd, you had mentioned that it's on YouTube free, most likely with ads.
And it's also on Vudu with ads. And I want to say also Amazon on IMDb TV with ads, but
not IMDb.
IMDb.
Right.
Yes.
Right. So, of course, I had this DVD here, but I've always wondered in these free apps, Vudu or YouTube, where you get to see it with ads, is it edited? Like, so it's just like the theatrical cut, just has ads in it. I like that. Well, there you go. If you haven't seen The Naked Gun, and I'd say a year, which I think is a lot for a lot of people.
Just use your phone during the ad breaks. That's what I know does.
There you go. But definitely check it out. Next week, we will be back with a new episode where we will be
watching and reviewing the Jim Carrey theatrical debut film, Once Bitten.
Can't wait to check that out. That'll be next week here on Flesh Wound Farce. I'm Ozzy V. That's Greg. That's Todd. And anything else you guys want to say before we head out?
Good night.
Good night, guys.
All right. We'll see you next week with a new episode of Flesh Wound Farce.